on this episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast.
And that shifted everything. Everything just feels smooth and clear.
Those moments are what bring in the higher abundance.
I was getting a little depressed, and I'm not a depressed type person normally.
So that's the exciting thing about manifestation is it's not 3 weeks of vision boarding.
Hi, I'm Lady Shadow, a witch with much to share, stirring the cauldron with magical self-care.
Hi, I'm Peaceful Nick, a medium divine. I chat with the dead and interpret every sign.
We are Soul Twin Stars, best friends through it all.
From spells to healing, we're answering the call.
From moon cycles to menopause and making peace with the dead.
We aren't afraid to talk about what's rarely said.
So tune in each week to get raw, real, and wise.
Let's talk about a spiritual life with absolutely no disguise. Welcome to the Soul Twin Stars podcast, Uninhibited Spirituality. We'd like to first thank this week's episode sponsors, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. They ship the most delicious baked goods anywhere. Follow them on their Facebook page, Beans and Buttercream Bakery. Also, Abernathy Photography, serving Western Kentucky and beyond, specializing in digital photography, weddings, and so much more. They now also feature drone photography. You can book them at abernathyphotography.com. And lastly, if you find yourself in Westchester County, New York, just north of New York City, Fino Restaurant in Croton-on-Hudson, New York, serves the most delicious, authentic Italian food. That's Fino Restaurant, Fino. And now, back to our episode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast. I'm Peaceful Nick, the medium, joined by the ever fabulous Lady Shadow. How are you today?
I'm amazing, and no, I am joined by the ever fabulous Peaceful Nick the Medium. You always say it the other way around, and it's you that is fabulous.
Well, I do appreciate that so very much. Is that a Pabst Blue Ribbon?
What? It's a berry seltzer water. Boring. But boy, that would be a way to start out the podcast. Drunk as skunks.
I cannot tell you the last time I had a sip of alcohol. It just does not go well.
Oh my God, me too. Like it's not
probably been 20 years. I just doesn't go good with my biology.
No, me neither.
It fights it. So we are it's January 24th, I believe, the day of the podcast release. We are almost on January of 2026.
It's crazy. 1 week. We are 1 week away from February. It's crazy. 1 week and 3 days or something.
And then February will be a flash because it's only 28 days. It's amazing how time flows differently from time to time. From time to time, no pun intended.
You know, I've been doing that. I walk by my little above ground pool that we leave up all year round. And we've been walking by it because it's covered in snow and ice right now. And I'm just thinking, let's remember this moment that the pool is filled with 2 feet of ice and snow because we've got 5 inches of snow sitting outside. And I told him in another 2 months, that pool is going to be filled and the sun's going to be out and our garden's going to be put in and it's going to be a whole different landscape. So let's take in the contrast because it's fascinating, right? That's why I love the 4 seasons. That's why I moved to the Northeast so I could enjoy the 4 seasons. One of the reasons I love California. Sorry, Californians, you guys really only have 2 seasons. So when I came here, I was so happy to have the snow and the fall and the spring. And it's just, you've got all the humidity that nobody needs.
I will take the air conditioning and the humidity over the winter. I lived in winter many years and I prefer not to have layer. I wear shorts and flip-flops constantly. Like that's
I do that in the winter here.
You're not shoveling the snow in your shorts and well, maybe you are. I don't know. Maybe.
I have done that.
Lady Shadow.
And the other thing Lady Shadow does is does a lot of grounding, even if there's snow outside. We were just doing it last night in the cold.
It's fine.
Standing in the snow. Yep. And it's
because snow is water. It's just frozen and it's very grounding and
still a frequency that goes right through.
Yeah. Bailey's looking out the window. She's being
I know. Oh, Bailey. You want to be in the show? Hey, baby.
She's the star of the show. Hi, sweet girl.
Look at that sweet girl.
I want to talk about my divine moment this week, and this is a surprise. I kept it secret. I was honored this week to have a conversation with the amazing Suzanne Giesman. And everyone who listens probably knows who the amazing Suzanne Giesman is. She's a former Navy commander, assistant to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who became a medium later in life, similar to me with the left brain, science mind. And then I became a medium, and we had a wonderful conversation. And one of the things that came up was pets and how grounding and neutralizing and present they make you. And so I love that Bailey popped her little head in right when we were about to talk about the divine moment. So for anybody who wants to listen to that conversation, it is on my YouTube channel at Peaceful Nick. That's Peaceful N-I-K. And it is up and ready for everyone to watch. And it was incredible. And I'm just so grateful to her generosity for taking the time to share with me. And
that's so awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier to have the opportunity to chat with Suzanne.
That's so cool. I love it when we can connect with people that we, admire. And this platform gives us that chance. In fact, we're going to be having some guests on again. We've been getting a lot of guest requests to come on here, which is pretty cool, which means you all are helping us grow out there. I must have gotten at least 4 guest requests this week. And so I know that we're having one of them on for a recording for the middle of February. So we'll keep you all posted about that. But we're going to have some exciting people coming and talk to us as well on our platform. So it goes both ways. However it goes, we'll take it any way we can take it.
I think that I've been talking a lot about building community and being together and like-minded people sharing information with each other. Things are pretty volatile out there. I've avoided the news and social media for 48 straight hours. Hopefully I will continue that streak. I was getting a little depressed, and I'm not a depressed type person normally anymore. In my 20s, maybe I was. And it was becoming overwhelming. And I just want people to know that when you're watching my content going forward, I'm going to do my best to keep it light and positive and raising the vibration. We need each other. We cannot get through these times without each other.
It's so true. It's and we say this every week, and we hate to sound redundant, but your world, no matter what's going on in that world, is your own choice. And it really has to be built from you first, from the inside out. And then that's how we can perpetuate change. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it starts with what you allow in to build that world on the inner so that we can reflect that inner on the outside.
It really does make a difference how we feel inside.
Yeah.
Because there's this thing in neuroscience called the stink of desperation.
We've talked about that. Yeah.
And how when you are desperate for something, you literally put off pheromones that tell people you're desperate. So, biologically they pick up on it. And so it's the same thing when you have a negative outlook on yourself inside, you're going to attract negative things or not attract the things you really think you want,
Absolutely.
And I think that brings us to our subject tonight.
It does. We are talking about toxic manifestation and avoiding the pitfalls of proper manifestation so that when you are trying to manifest, rather manifest itself, because it's technically a verb, it's not a past tense, and it's not a future tense word, right? It's got to be right now, right? You can't think of manifestation as something that is going to happen one day, or try for it to happen, or hope for it to happen. And so we're talking about, the pitfalls of that, and why people get stuck not manifesting, expecting results, and doing everything, quote, by the book, and then it's still not necessarily working for them. So you are 100% right to talk about the stink of desperation, because there's nothing in manifestation that is desperate. It should never be desperate. It should be, before it even comes to the fruition of your mind to manifest something, it should be a feeling first, right? Because thought, they always say, what starts with your thoughts. Well, kind of, but thoughts are so random all day long. We go through a million thoughts. And if it was just as easy as a thought, everybody would have everything they want in 2 seconds, right? It would be instantaneous. There would be nobody starving. There would be nobody living in the streets, if that were the case, right? So we have to think deeper as to why it's not a thought process, but it's a frequency and a feeling process. So
can you expand? Just go through how you would manifest something, and how somebody who is disallowing manifestation, the toxic part. You just kind of go through that. I may ask some questions as we go.
Yeah. For me personally, a manifesting is not something that is deep into the future. It doesn't require step A, B, C, D, E, F to happen exactly on point within a certain period of time, like a to-do list. So if you have a to-do list that has to get done for the week, dentist on Tuesday, gynecologist on Wednesday, Friday party with friends, Saturday.
Don't mix those two appointments up.
Right? Especially if you're a husband. But it can't be like a to-do list. When you think about the things you want, right? It's so built innate in you. It's so powerful of a feeling when you think about something you really want. What is something you, Nick, want right now that you feel so strongly that you feel like it would move and change your life and make everything better, and something that, like, a huge goal that you would accomplish? Like, name one thing.
I am currently manifesting doing live events with my mediumship.
So how does that make you feel?
Very excited, and the butterflies in my chest.
Exactly. So it first starts with the feeling of what that would be like to be doing that more often, regularly, full-time, whatever it is. For someone who isn't manifesting, let's say, an event, they're manifesting a thing. So I'm going to be getting a new car in the next 6 months. I'm already smelling the smells of the car. I'm already looking at cars. In fact, the top 5 cars that I'm looking at, I'm seeing more on the road. Ironically, every time I'm at a stop sign, oh, there's the car I was just researching.
Right.
And you're attaching a feeling, you're attaching a reality. So this is what we're going to talk about in a second. The reality versus your current reality, like your reality that you want versus the current reality that you are in. It's not about repeating your thoughts, right? In fact, it's actually thinking about it less and feeling it more, and just going out into the world and living your truth, your joy, your authenticity, and just trusting that it's already happening because it's already in your world. The first part is feeling it, not thinking about it per se, like as in obsessively, right? You are in a position to move your business into a new place with your mediumship. So can you name an item that you would want to manifest, like a thing?
Let's say I get a golf cart so I can
Yes.
go to the grocery store without taking my car.
Good. That's good.
Because it's in my neighborhood.
Yeah. And then you could drive it to the pool too.
Right. Exactly.
A little pool there.
Right.
Okay. That's perfect. The idea of the vision board and why that can be toxic versus just understanding that the vision board is only a little tool to your aligning to your desires, but the vision board itself is just another thing. And it can be good in a triggering way to remind you emotionally to feel the frequency of having that item or that experience already in your life, right? But if you just have a random thing on your fridge and you don't give it any further vibration or belief, that vision board's going to sit there like it's a magnet from Nebraska.
Right.
Like it's a souvenir, and it's not going to actually do anything for you. It's so everything that you experience in this physical life is being put to work for you through vibration, through frequency, through that movement, through that entanglement, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. And that is how we connect to manifesting. And there are a few different ways to get there, right? Authenticity, living in your truth, and knowing very clearly what it is that you want and need from the universe. And that believing that since there is no time, that it's already right there in another timeline, because you remember having that experience or thing in another timeline somewhere else. And all you have to do is collapse the ones around you in your mind that make you think there's a blockade to it. Right. So that's the exciting thing about manifestation is it's not 3 weeks of vision boarding, obsessive thinking about it.
Right.
It's actually feeling it, trusting it, getting excited for it. And the more your body is excited for something and it's certain about that excitement, then you can invite other levels of excitement even when you're stressed. So that excitement and joy replaces stress one piece at a time. And the more joyful you are, as you know, and the more doors that are closed for these items or experiences that we want, which we're trying to manifest, open quicker, one joyful moment at a time, one trusting moment at a time. So it's a thought for a second, but it's a gut feeling what we want and what we need and what we want to show up in our lives. But then it becomes, okay, I want to connect with that reality. Like I know I can do this. I'm capable. I'm in it. I'm excited for it. And that's what's called frequency alignment. It's not about thinking about it more. And it's not about walking around saying shit to yourself over and over again. And so once you get into the thinking, feeling, the fantasy, even if it's for 10 minutes, like just close your eyes and see yourself in the car. And, it's more like feel the feelings of how the car feels on the road. Feel the way your mood changes when you smell that new car smell, or you have your favorite song blasting on that radio, right? Mm-hmm. And as you're feeling in the fantasy kind of world, then there's one more step that we have to take. And I'm doing this now with some of my big goals. Oh, there's Bailey again. And that is to normalize what it is. So it starts kind of as this fantasy. And then when you start normalizing it in your mind every day, like it's just a thing, it's not a thing to reach for. It's not so far away. It's not even in another timeline. It's right here. And it's normal that this is for you. This is yours. This experience belongs to you, right? So once you normalize it and you can feel it, it can happen so much faster for you. So that's how, that's kind of how I've been able to do things quicker, is just not obsessively thinking, not obsessively cutting out magazine pictures. If you're a visual person and you need a little picture to remind you, that's great. We're in a digital world, so everything is on our device. Pictures motivate us all the time. So a lot of people think, well, old school vision boarding, so whatever works to connect the visual to the feel, to the feel, to the reality, to normalizing. So that's kind of the connect the dots map that I use when I manifest. And I'm the queen manifester, and so are you. So what do you do? And do you do the similar thing? Like, give us your best manifest story, and then tell me how you did it.
I want to speak to the digital vision boards. Okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Obviously, everybody's going to do their own thing. But like you said, if you don't do anything with it, it's useless. It's just, you just made a pretty picture, right? The other thing is, I know from 20 years of in the classroom teaching that when you do things by hand,
Yes,
it's better. It goes into your brain, it goes into the universe. Just drawing something on a computer screen is very, very different from physically. If you feel the need to physically cut out the pictures and physically paste it, that takes much more time. It goes literally from your hand to your brain in a much different way than doing it digitally. There have been multiple scientific studies about that. So if you are going to make a vision board, if that's your thing, do it physically. But you have to follow all the other follow-up stuff. You can't just hang it on the fridge and it's a Nebraska magnet or whatever state you said. This is what I do, and I believe I've probably talked about this, but there is never too much good information that can be repeated. Like it's okay. I have a list of my I am statement that I have written. I have it in my journals downstairs. I have an I am statement on my nightstand. I have it in my journal. I say the I am statement many times a day. I see myself in it. I feel myself in it. I believe that is where I am. And so that's one thing, right? That's my intention, my I am statement. You have to set your intention with your I am statement. And then you have to do the work. I work a billion hours a week, just like you do, Lady Shadow. I'm napping and I'm working, right? I get more ideas when I lay down to take my nap in the afternoon than I do when I'm awake.
And can I just say why? Because you are activating your
Right.
parasympathetic nervous system. And
Right.
when you do that, things can come in easier, ideas, thoughts, and your resistance is
That's why
lower.
that's why my first I think my first mediumship experience happened when I laid down to take a nap.
Yes.
And that's another whole story. Anyway, so the I am statement, doing the work. So you have to take steps, but you have to take useful steps, right? If you want to manifest a new job, you just don't go on Glassdoor and apply for everything and then forget about it, right? There's other ways, other more creative ways to do that. You don't just apply and forget it, right? We should follow up. We can call the HR manager. We can go to that company and present a physical resume, if there's a place you really want to work. It's a very different world. I know it's a digital world, but it has lost so much. Back in the day when we would go apply for jobs, we physically had to take a resume to the place or mail it in a letter, which is awful in my opinion. I want to see the person. I want them to feel my energy. So be creative if you're trying to manifest a job. So set the intention, do the work, and allow yourself to receive. A lot of us, speaking of toxic manifesting, we don't think we deserve it. We don't believe we deserve it for a plethora of reasons. It could be your family was dysfunctional, which is pretty much everybody. Or you're in a toxic relationship with a narcissist who doesn't really want you to go out to work because they're jealous of your success or whatever. Could be any number of reasons. You are worthy. You are worthy just because you are here. You are worthy. Anybody that's listening to this anytime from 2026 and to, the year 3000, whatever it is.
We hope to live that long over here. I mean, we hope to live on that long, right?
You are worthy of getting the things you need and want. You are worthy, and you have to believe you're worthy, and you have to allow yourself to receive. And so that's my manifesting. I'll tell a quick manifesting story. And because I'm in the flow a lot, because I work in the spiritual realm, Bailey's so cute. Hi, Bailey. Because I work a lot with spirit and that's my job. That's my job a lot, talking to spirit and sitting in the power and meditating. I'm in the flow with spirit. And I went somewhere with someone, and this person was hangry. And I said, well, I'm going to get some food at this place. Okay. So I ordered salmon with green beans and potatoes. That's what I ordered. I get my tray and it's shrimp with French fries with my receipt. And I said, I don't think this is mine, but they can't take the food back once you pick up the tray. And the person I was with's favorite meal at this place is shrimp and French fries. And so now thus I solved the hangry problem through spirits allowing me to manifest a free meal. And they had to give me my meal, which was green beans and salmon. And so I got 2 meals for the price of 1 and solved the hangry person's problem.
That's so funny.
And so that's when you're in the flow and you're just talking to spirit, but it's a practice. It's something that I'm not saying you're going to walk outside and buy the lottery ticket and win $1 billion. That's not really if it's not meant for you, it's not going to be for you, right? There are certain things you need to be, certain places you need to be, and certain actions that will happen for you. Not everything is meant for you, but what is meant for you will come around for you. And manifesting that meal for the person I was out with, that was something simple. That wasn't $1 billion. That didn't change the universe, right? I mean, I guess in a little tiny way it may have, but that was a simple thing, right? And we can manifest stuff like that all the time. And I just thought it was just the greatest little spiritual gift that happened, a gift from spirit. But that's because I believe the universe is always on my side.
Which is basically you. You are your own advocate. You are on your side. If you
right, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Everything, right? So I'm getting used to not so much saying that the universe is on my side, but I feel like I am part of the universe. I am born of it. I'm inside of it. I am a big part of a bigger part. And so I never try to minimize going outside of myself for something. It's all together. Like, I am part of the universe. So all I have to do is tap into what's already inside. But I have a great example of what you just mentioned, a great story about witnessing something for someone else that happens really big, but it wasn't for me directly. Once in a while, I go to a casino for fun. We have some local entertainment, something I do once in a while. I popped in one night to listen to the band. I play a little, I go home. But I was sitting down to a machine near the stage where I always am so I could hear the band. And my husband was trying to sit next to me, but a guy kind of swooped in and sat at the machine next to me instead. So my husband was standing behind me. And he looked like he was just going to be there for a second, play a little of this game, which is one of my favorite games. And then he was going to leave. But he didn't. He kind of hung out there. And then we got talking. So I'm playing like my usual $25 on the machine. And he's over there playing like 264 or something. And he's trying to get like the bigger jackpot. So this machine has 4 larger jackpots. And the largest one is about $10,000. And it's called the Grand. And then there's the Mini. Then there's the Minor. And then there's the Major, which is in the middle there. It's like that's usually around $1,000. And I've won a couple of these, the smaller jackpots, but I've never won the $10,000 one. And I always thought, whenever that happens for somebody, that must be so great, because I've never seen it happen. I've never won the $10,000 grand jackpot, but it would certainly be nice to witness it, even if somebody else won it. And so this guy's playing for 10 minutes and we start a conversation and we're laughing and we're joking. And I'm like playing, like, I think I've played in this 15 minutes, like $13, if that. And I'm just sitting there because I'm like more fascinated with this conversation with this guy now. Because he's this cute little Italian, he's a chef that retired, and he was talking about he was at the casino for fun and that he wanted to take his family on this vacation, the whole group of them, but he couldn't afford to. So he came to the casino to try his luck for fun. I was teaching him the game because he wasn't somebody that knew about how to play this particular game. And there's these pots that spin, and when they all spin, you get letters that fly up and then they spill out the jackpots. So if you spell out the word grand or major or minor, you get that jackpot. So he got his bonus to open, and I said, oh, you might get something here. And then, so it started to go off, but it didn't pay him anything too large. Then the doors closed and the bonus is over. And then he was going to get up. And then Chris, of course, was going to move into this seat, not to play the game, but just to sit with me while we listened to the band. And he goes, you know what, maybe I'll play a little bit more. I just feel like I should play. I said, you should play another couple of minutes worth. And I said, try the lower bet. He was playing $2.64. I told him, I said, go on the $1.76 bet just for shits and giggles. He's like, okay, I'm going to listen to you. So he's playing the 176. And he was getting frustrated. He played another $25, not even that huge of an amount. And he's like, yeah, I should just leave. He hits the button one more time. And all the 3 pots go off again.
Oh.
And the doors open. And we're sitting there watching the letters fly up. And he said, would sure would be nice to get that grand. And then 4 of the letters of the 5 with spelling out grand filled. And he's sitting there with me. And I said, you might just get it. Like, and if you get that, it'll be so exciting for me because I want to watch it happen for you. Because I get excited when people win. I don't sit over there and get jealous and salty about it. I love watching my favorite game pay out for people. It's really fun to watch people experience that. So he's sitting there and he grabs my hand, which is really funny. And he's like holding my hand because there's like all these coins that just came into his display, and they start flipping one by one. When you get a lot of coins, it means more letters, right? And most of the letters were full. So he's like, I just need that D. I just need that red D. I just need that red D. And I said, let's do it. And sure enough, the red D flipped, blew up, and he got the $10,000 right in front of me. Wow. And we were so excited. I was so excited. We were like literally crying for him because he's like, oh my God, I can take my family on vacation. It was so cool. And I was hugging him, and he was hugging my husband. And oh my God, it was the most beautiful thing. And so what? It wasn't my money. I got to still witness it. I got to be a part of it. And you know what? He took my phone number. He gave me a $200 tip. Wow. And said, you were my lucky charm. You made this happen because you told me to stay in the seat and to play the lower bet. He's like, I don't know how that worked, but you got this money for me. So here's $200. Thank you so much. Keep my phone number, invite me to your shows. It was crazy. So he put me in his phone as my lucky charm. It was so cute. He sent me a text for the holidays and for the new year, which was adorable. But we made a unlikely little connection and a friendship. He's still in my phone, and I'll never forget that day. And to witness that for him was incredible. So yes. And you know what? Had Chris sat down and beat him by 1 second into that seat, and had Chris played on that bet level, his 20, I usually give my husband about $20 too to play. He probably it would have been his to hit, but it wasn't because it was so cosmically aligned for this other guy to hit it. And I can't argue with that because it was so divine. I can't be jealous of that because I have talents that far surpass $10,000. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of intellectual property that I've created in 15 years. I don't need that jackpot. I'm not a millionaire, but I don't need that jackpot. I'm sure it would be nice, but that was his to have that night, and to witness that was beautiful. And so that's exactly what you're saying too, is that when it steps in for you, when it's time, it does. When the energy and alignment kind of needs someone else to be there for it to happen, then that's how it works out. We're all there for each other. We're all frequency. And again, when we trust in the frequency of the feeling of knowing that it's just joy, the more joy doors we open. Remember we talked about the escape room last week, right? Yeah. Where things unlock for you if you are in that frequency. And that is the most beautiful thing to acknowledge, because that really is the key to getting anything in your life quicker, faster, easier. No sitting around praying on your knees for hours for something. The work harder, work harder. No, you just work smarter. We work smarter by letting go, like taking a fucking nap like you do in the afternoon when you're tired and when you need to, receive, or when you need to rest, and taking care of yourself. And you're right. Those moments are what bring in the higher abundance. Absolutely.
Right. And I love that story. And that was meant for that person, not for you in that
That's
moment.
right.
That doesn't mean another time you may hit the grand, right?
Somebody else will line it up for me. Exactly. It doesn't, and it doesn't even have to be, I don't care if it's a slot machine. It could be that we hit a jackpot in life,
Right.
that I buy just the right car, or that the right show of mine gets picked up and put onto Broadway any day, which is going to happen. So it's the same thing. It's literally just trusting that your desire and your frequency is so high that whatever comes in, you'll know it when it's yours, and you'll still be happy for your fellow man if it's not yours. Technically, that guy is part of me too. We're all stardust, right? We're all like one.
Exactly.
So since we're all connected, how could I not be happy for him?
Right.
I mean, the joy of witnessing that. And I always used to tell Chris, if I can't win that damn grand one day, then I want to watch somebody else do it. So I know that it is actually possible, because, slot machines, they're not trustworthy.
Right.
There's sneaky shit that goes on with that shit all the time. So, they're really just entertainment. Slots are not for income people. They're just for entertainment.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was a great story. Right, Nick?
I love it.
But again, the key to everything is to be in a certain frequency. In your early days of manifesting, what were some of the challenges that you were trying to get through so that you could learn to manifest properly? Because I'm sure you're manifesting way different today than you were 15 years ago.
My manifesting was blocked, first of all, because it's kind of a complicated dynamic situation. There was a lot of moving parts to my life through my 20s and 30s. I was manifesting, like I could always manifest a job. I've never had a problem getting a job ever. That was not a problem. So I always had income, steady income, which was great. However, I had a lot of very toxic people in my life. Most of the people I knew and were surrounded by default, were very toxic, and a lot of negativity coming my way from people telling me how I didn't deserve things and I wouldn't get things and I was weird, and just negative things people say. And so that was a really, we all go through stuff like this, right? We all have our angsty 20s, and then, then I had a family, my late 20s into my early 30s. And, then you just get so busy with life, you forget about who you are as a mom. And so I was just trying to keep my head above water for a long time. And so I really wasn't thinking much about manifesting at all. And then my spiritual journey it appeared briefly in 1994 and 5, and then went away because I was having a family, blah, blah, blah. And then in 2014, when I got the book, A New Earth, from my niece, it kicked in. And then in 2019, actually 7 years ago from the day we're recording this, is my anniversary of my mediumship. This is the day. And that shifted everything. Everything has become so much, everything just feels smooth and clear in my world, interpersonally, in my interpersonal world. And I also want to tell a story that kind of goes with this. I thought for years I was manifesting these jobs without really trying. I just thought, oh, the universe loves me. I got a great job again. No big deal. And I'd have people say, how do you get those great jobs? I'm like, I just do. I don't know. I'm lucky, I guess. You know? And I just kind of thought the universe was on my side. And so I want to tell kind of a longish story, going back to my 6th grade year of school. I was living in a very small town with 300 people in it, Annapolis, Missouri. Okay. I think 363 was the population when I lived there. And you go to school, you take standardized tests. You may not know this story, Lady Shadow. You take a standardized test, and then you go to 7th grade. I don't know what happens to them. I don't even think about it. So my mom got called into the office. Me and my little sister went to the school. She got called into the principal's office with us to tell us how extraordinary our results were. And I'm like, all right, okay. And that I was so gifted that they had a special class that only a few chosen people were going to be in 7th grade. This was 1983. Okay. So think about small town in Missouri, 1983. Okay. So I get put in the gifted class in 7th grade, and I'm computer coding.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah. There's more coming. There's more coming. And I was so good at it that I was the only one of the 4 students that they kept in the class the whole year. Everybody else got put back in regular classes. And I was just not thinking about it. I was loving it. I was really good at it. Well, then my mom died after that, and I moved to California, and I went to a private school in San Francisco starting in 1986. They didn't have a computer anywhere. Not one computer in the whole school. Okay. So let's just start thinking about this as I go through this story. So I, have my life. I start a job right after I graduate high school, and there's computers there, and I'm really adept at it. And I get promoted. I get promoted to the highest level I can before I finish my college degree. And I'm like, okay, this is just normal for me. And so life goes on, and I didn't really think much about it until recently. I started seeing some of my mediumship friends and other people on podcasts talking about the special classes they put gifted children in through secret government programs.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I have a tie-in here, okay? And I thought, wow. And actually, my Embolics podcast had a lady on that was featured in the telepathy tapes about this very thing last week. And it reminded me of this story of my computer coding in Annapolis, Missouri in 1983. Like, that doesn't even make sense. Who had a computer in 1983 in a small town like that?
Right.
Now, Piedmont, Missouri is 20 miles from there. Piedmont, Missouri is the home of one of the biggest UFO flaps in the 70s. I'm just saying, this is my story. This is my story. So 3 or 4 nights ago, I have a dream. And I am outside of a building with one of my sons, who is very gifted in many different ways. And we're in front of this building, and there's 8 people. I don't know the other people. And we're all standing outside of this big, looks like a big concrete building. And whoever's the narrator of the dream, or whoever the person in charge was, said, when you go in that building, you will see a wall, and outside of that wall, when the time is right, will come your purpose in life, or your purpose here, or whatever. And so we're like, all right. So we go in, standing in front of this giant wall. It must have been 20 stories high. And I'm like, F it. I'm going to touch the wall and see what happens. I'm not waiting. I'm a Sagittarius. I have no patience. So I touch the wall, and out comes this other part of the wall, like a giant library shelf that was just as tall as the 20-story wall and had a million books on it, every book you could in the world. And as soon as I did that, I heard, your job here, your purpose here is to take in and disseminate all the knowledge in the world. And then I woke up. And I'm like, it had me thinking, was I manifesting all that stuff through my life, or was somebody living somewhere guiding me through these challenges to make sure I was okay? What do you think about that, Lady Shadow? I've never told you that story, have I?
That's pretty good. No, I do not remember hearing that. That is amazing. That kind of goes along with the simulation theory that I sometimes think about, because sometimes I believe that we have some free will to an extent, but I think that free will on this planet, considering the programming that we have to constantly dodge, is coercing us to stay in the program and not activate our free will. And once we do activate our free will, like you said, we generally, when we open ourselves to our higher purpose, it generally reveals itself in some way. But ironically, Chris and I were talking about the Bible, and because there are so many truths in the Bible, but then there's also these ridiculous, fallacies, and there's ridiculous
inconsistencies,
inversions, things that would be very anti-God, that you can tell were written to almost counteract the miracle of God that is presented in there, right?
Right.
And so I was telling Chris, because a lot of people are, all about biblical prophecy and it's all in the Bible, but at the same time, we know that it's been egotistically edited and inverted for the wrong purpose, right?
Misogynistically.
Absolutely. And so, but I also think that some of the stuff in there was left there on purpose to leave hints about our world and about true history and about prophecy. And I guess it's a personal journey, how you want to decode that. But I used to just kind of think, it's all just kind of this literature that's been edited, re-edited, and God knows what it's ended up to be.
Bastardized.
Yeah. But then there are certain parts that feel almost prophetic in the way the world plays out. It's almost like somebody knew or had the script or has run another simulation that used the Bible to express those other simulations. And if you figure it out, you figure it out. If you know, kind of thing. So I'm interested in kind of going back over it and trying to decode what is real and what is true to spirit and what is complete made up bullshit, right? It's fascinating because
I would be careful trying to interpret anything in an English Bible.
Agreed. It's unfortunately that's the only language that I can read or speak other than a little.
I would recommend everyone follow and watch Dan McClellan and the Data Over Dogma podcast, and read Resurrecting Jesus by Adia Shanti. Those are highly recommend. The Data Over Dogma podcast is Dan McClellan is a religious scholar with a PhD. He's amazing. He knows all the ancient languages and interprets them, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
And the Adia Shanti book, Resurrecting Jesus, is the spiritual side of Jesus.
Yeah.
So I read the Bible years ago trying to find all the UFO references in it.
Exactly. or any apocalyptic references, or, references that talk about what the hell is it that we're living in, on, and who runs this place. So through my own digging. I have many hypotheses on this,
Mhm.
but I know that there are more truths in the Bible to decode, and however we do it, and those are great recommendations. If you're called to wanting to know more, like we are, about our world all the time, I've been reading about the old world recently and watching videos about that, which is absolutely fascinating. That's a whole other podcast subject.
Right.
We can talk about it later because there's a lot of evidence that we've been lied to about way more than we think. Like
Yeah.
the Graham Hancock stuff. It goes hand in hand with that.
Write that down. We'll record that
It's so fascinating. And it also kind of goes hand in hand with simulation theory as well, because they use some of these old buildings that they could have never been built with the technology that we had in the 1800s. Seemed like it was left over from another reset, another simulation overlay kind of thing.
You're going
to listen, I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. There's evidence that these beautiful cathedrals could not have been built when they say they were. There aren't even blueprints to back things up. There have been people that have inquired just about the older buildings here in the United States, have said, hey, where's the permits? Where's the blueprints? You kept records back that far? Oh yeah, we don't have those. We don't know. If there's no evidence, and the evidence on the materials dates way before they say it was built, then you got to look at that shit. Thank you, Graham Hancock, as well, for the same proof that he's bringing to light about how old civilization is and who they were and what tech they did or didn't have. But we will save that for another podcast, and we will finish talking about,
because we have different opinions. We have different opinions.
We do, and that's totally fine.
Yeah, and
I love hearing
we have these
opinions.
discussions.
Yeah, and I love having discussions. Just like when you're on a jury, each side has to kind of convince each other why they believe the way they believe. And I think it's fascinating because just because I don't share that passionate belief that somebody else does, I want to know why. As a writer, again, I write protagonists and antagonists, so I need to have both sides of the story, and I have to understand both sides, even if I don't agree. Or sometimes I don't agree with either side, and I still write, scenes and plays about two people that I'm not even their cheerleader, but I want to write these characters for the world,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, everything goes back to manifestation. Everything, even like what we're doing right now, talking about the truth and how luck is manifested and how we seek out the vibrations in our life that work the best for us so that we can have a full and fulfilling, satisfying life, right? And that's what manifestation is. It's getting in touch with the frequency deep down inside of you of the things that you truly desire out of your time here, and how to apply that energy to getting things quicker, easier, faster, and more aligned with your true authentic self. Because I can bet a lot of people watching this are going, I fucking hate my job. How do I get out of that? Like, I didn't want to manifest this. I manifested a job to pay my bills, but it's not like I like it. But there is a way to get the job that you love, or to be doing things for money that you love. Because look around you, there are people doing it every day. They figured out how to do it. You and I have figured out how to do it. It's not easy, and it was a personal path for both of us, but it can be done if you kind of quiet the outside programming. Once again, stop the toxic loops in your mind. You can't, you're not good enough, you're not strong enough, you're not cute enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not sexy enough, you don't have enough education. Some of the most richest, smartest people in the world do not have a fucking degree. And in your case, it works for you. You're smart. You have all this education. That's wonderful. I have the equivalent of an associate's degree, but I'm running a production company that people with master's degrees in theater don't know how to do. So it's just a personal journey for everybody, and it doesn't need to be judged, or one path is no more or less important than the other. But the whole point of this podcast and learning to manifest is really knowing who you are and your authentic self. And as long as you're at least in that, because like you said, a lot of people don't know how to get in touch with their authentic selves, or they're living with people who suppress that. I have one really good friend who cannot be himself, his authentic self, at home with his wife or family, because everything his authentic self is funny, jokey, a little sarcastic, very open and transparent. It's not welcome in his environment. He unfortunately, when he met his wife, he put on the show. She married the show. He was somebody else. And now he has to be that person in order to keep peace. And it's not even peaceful.
Well, as Chris Rock said 20 years ago in a stand-up special, when you go on a date, you're meeting their representative.
That's right.
But I would say to this friend of yours, if I was advising him, I would say, you made that decision.
Yep.
And you are deciding to stay in that toxic.
That's right. And you're deciding to also not be your authentic self.
Right.
You are a jokey, relaxed, fun person who wants no tension in the air, wants to take life less seriously, but still seriously enough to make sure everybody's needs are met. But if you're going to get the shaft either way, you might as well be yourself. And then if that's not a match at the end of the day, then let it dissolve.
Right. Yeah.
I say that all the time. I'm the queen of authenticity because I can't tell a lie if I tried. And so I have no problem telling my friends straight up, listen, this is probably maybe when you come to me for advice, I will tell you straight up, maybe that this is what you should look at doing, or rather just be yourself and then let the cards unfold and be ready to take an action if being you is so fucking horrible, right? Then either be the better authentic you that you can be, or get out of a situation where you're not appreciated. You're absolutely right.
I would say, as being a friend to Lady Shadow since 1990 or so, whenever it was, you've given me a million pieces of advice. However, I am not a person that gets mad at you for your advice, because I am also a fiery, strong person.
Yes.
But I do know there are people in our orbits, because I will give straight up advice too.
Especially if it's asked of you. I mean,
right.
Why not?
Of course. I'm not just giving unsolicited advice to my friends.
Right.
You want advice, or do you want me to listen? I've learned that in my 50s to be a little more discerning. But if you don't want to hear honest opinions, don't ask myself or Lady Shadow, because you'll get mad if you're not ready to hear it. Because sometimes people come to you, to any friend, like, let's say you have 5 friends and you want to make a bad decision. You're going to go to the friend who you know is going to agree with your bad decision.
That's right.
Advice.
That's right.
And that is not me or Lady Shadow.
Yeah. No, we'll try to keep it real, but we're not judgy real.
Right.
Listen,
right.
I've had friends
no judgment
that have made the craziest decisions, and you know what? I just say, listen, you're an adult. You know the consequences. I'm here for you. Well, would you do this? No, I wouldn't, but that's okay. You are free to try that. I mean, right. We've all stumbled around trying to figure out what works and what doesn't, whether we were 16, 28, or 55. So yep. Who am I to judge my 40-something friend, that's still stumbling around? But if you're going to come out and ask, I'll present some options, but I'm not judging you for it. Like, it's these problems that our friends come to us with, yours as well, I'm sure, are a dime a dozen. They're everybody's problems. Everybody's gone through these things, these same issues.
Yes.
And don't be ashamed about it, because we've all been through a bad relationship. We've all been through, our own shame for decisions that we've made, our own guilt. And listen, that's just part of being human.
And as Maya Angelou says, when you know better, you do better. And
that's right.
You can't hold it against yourself when you were raised in a way that made you accept certain behaviors towards you, and you didn't know that there was another way. So don't hold things against yourself. Don't shame yourself on top of all the other shame that you've been given by others.
Right.
Lady Shadow, we have manifested a beautiful, positive podcast today.
And just remember, everybody, and this is why we didn't need to spend every second on the idea of negative manifestation. Remember, it's not the repeated thoughts. It's not being on your knees. It's just deciding in a split second, taking on a feeling of authenticity of something that you really desire. And it's just frequency. Think of everything as energy, not as an obstacle course. Don't think of anything that you want as this physical obstacle course to go through to get it. It's literally a thought and a feeling and a desire.
And in the comments, let us know, was I a CIA?
Oh yeah, we need.
Was I a CIA study, or was I a master manifester?
I think it's a little bit of both. They're probably still watching you.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure I have more to say on it offline.
You know, check your left butt cheek for an implant. Just feel around in there.
Okay.
And if you feel that implant, let us know, because then
both sides are the equal size.
It's about this big, size of a rice grain.
Like a BB.
That's right.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you next week, same time, same place. Thank you, Lady Shadow. Love to everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us this episode for the Soul Twin Stars podcast. Find us on our podcast Facebook page for Magical Mondays live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will help you magically slay your weekdays, and for awesome giveaways. For more information about what other spiritual things Nick and I do and offer, visit peacefulnickthemedium.com. That's Nick with just a K. Or to connect with me, Lady Shadow, soulsandspirits.com is the place to go. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows, we would absolutely love that. Contact us at soultwinstars@gmail.com. See you next Friday on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Facebook, and on YouTube. Sending you all so many blessings. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, know that you are all cherished.